Listen up. If you want to make legit cash in your business, you want to help a legit amount of people and have legit lifestyle changing cash, then you need to start treating your business like a legit business. You scrap-a-doodling over here, you kind of putting some things together over here, really being cheap over here, trying to find a shortcut and a workaround here, you're going to end up having that level of results in terms of income and clients. You're being cheap, you're going to attract cheap people. So if you're getting a lot of people who aren't buying your things, aren't even signing up for your free things, are telling you they don't have the money right now, they have to ask their husband, they're giving you lots of excuses, and the abundance isn't pouring in, it's because you are being cheap with your business. And I don't just mean in money, and how you are looking on building it, how you are thinking. And in today's brand new interview, I brought on Jackie Serviss. She has spent decades in the corporate world working for one of these major corporations, PepsiCo. And now she has her own executive recruitment agency. And yes, her last name is really Serviss. And she is the founder of the Serve Recruitment Agency. And she is going to serve it straight to you today on what you need to do on any stage of your business, who you need to hire first, what you need to look for, and the secrets of really being able to scale a business that you will now get behind the scenes of, and you can start applying these to your own business. Let's do this thing. Also, we are building the brand new in-person studio set for ProjectME TV and for ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast. So as I'm bringing in guests, you're going to see different iterations of our set. So today is the debut of a Money Bed Monday. And I'm not saying every single Monday is going to be Money Bed Monday, but as we build the set, I thought it'd be fun instead of waiting until the sign is designed and is up and all the things are perfect. I am taking you along the way so you can see the different iterations that we get to start with it being messy, with it being a shit show. And a lot of times that can even be more fun. Instead of waiting for everything to be done and perfect, let's just go. So you definitely want to go and watch this show on ProjectME TV on YouTube. Even if you're someone who normally listens on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all the things, that's fine. But you've got to at least see this. And I'm very open to suggestions because interior design is not my thing. If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash making advice. Now let's get to it. Rich Babe Summer loading. If you want to get your bank account well fed so that this summer you do not have a summer of scarcity, you do not have a summer of feeling guilty, luxuriating, planning trips, going on trips, buying that extra thing that you want, and you no longer feel trapped by your circumstances, where you have the freedom to work where you want. You know that you've set up your business in a way that money is coming in, whether you are actively working or not. There are two ways that I can show you this right now. Number one, we have a handful of spots open for new members inside my famous ProjectME Posse business coaching membership. This is best for you if you are making less than $15,000 a month online. You could already be making hundreds of thousands of dollars, let's just say as like a realtor, even per month, but you're not making it online. Specifically, that is my group coaching membership where I teach you all the things, cut out all the fluff, serve it to you straight on exactly what you need to do to monetize your gifts, passions, and talents online, whether you're starting from scratch, whether you're a few years in, but you're not really making the money that you want to make, it's in there. So there is an annual option where you get 2 months off. That's the best deal. That makes it like $2 a day. I also have a month-to-month option, which makes it about $100 a month. I would do the annual and go all in on yourself because that's what's going to make you show up. You get weekly live trainings from me and other special guest experts. Plus, you get a membership portal with all the things that you can imagine. You need to be in there. There's incredible bonuses. The link is right in the description here on YouTube, or you can swipe up and it's in the show notes. Go to projectmewithtiffany.com/projectme posse. Now, I do have, as of the time of this recording, so they could already be gone, 2 private coaching spots left in my 2-month exclusive business coaching container. Now, I only take 4 private clients at a time, and likely this is what's going to be full for the entire summer. So if you know that you want to stop messing around and treat your business like a true business and go for the holy grail and have everything customized by me, someone who is behind the scenes of some of the biggest brands and the biggest companies in the world, helping them cash in online. And I take all of those secrets and we apply them to your small business. This is it. I am not putting this link in the show notes because basically where I'm at with this audience of millions of people at this point, we end up with a gazillion applications and it gets overwhelming. So I need to see that you really want it. So if you know you want to work with me at this highest level, and your girl over here ain't cheap, nor should I be. Okay. This is serious business. When you really want to be someone who's setting your business up to make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year or in the millions, that's where your goal is. This is your move. You need to DM me on Instagram at ProjectMeWithTiffany for the application. And just know, don't waste time. If you are not like, I am going to get a loan for this, I'm going to invest the money in this because I've already wasted so much time and energy, money on all these other small things. And I know I just need to go for the holy grail and I'm doing it and I'm taking it seriously. That's who I'm looking for in here. I'm not the best coach for someone who just wants to make like kind of toe dipping side cash, and no shame in that game. Okay. Like, I think that's great that people want to do that, but I'm not good at restraining. I am best at helping you scale this to a level that is beyond most people's comprehension. And you know what? It's actually really simple and straightforward. The hard part is things mess with your mind. And that's why it's so important that you have someone there by your side as you're building and you're launching, because you'll mind fuck yourself out of everything. And get ready, because this episode is really going to have you dig in on where you need to make your next level investments in your business, who to hire strategically so that you get that money back. Now let's head to the money bed, baby. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? It's your host, Tiffany Carter, and this is the show that is going to help you grow your business, your bank account, that big, beautiful brain of yours, your abundance, your relationships, and everything in between. I feel like we can sit back. Like, this is really chill. You guys, I've got Jackie Serviss in my bed. Not many people have had this.
Well, no, you're
or
right.
have they? Welcome to the show. How many people have you slept with? Go. Tell me all about this.
I've never been in a money bed.
I hadn't either. And I was like, why do we have to sit in proper chairs and be uncomfortable and sit up straight and have our stomach sucked in and have like a glam team to do an interview? Like, why can't we just talk like how we talk, the normal people talk?
I prefer normal people talk. And specifically when you brought me this purple fuzzy blanket.
We had to have a blankie. I'm all about having an adult blankie. I wanted to have you on is I'm a big believer, as you know, in the law of attraction, manifestation, and I believe that things get to be easy if we allow them to be. We often make them so much harder. And we just got back. We were in the jungle together, you guys, at the Four Seasons Fat Camp. This should be on the sales page for this retreat.
I would keep coming.
I would have stayed another week and I could have had an OnlyFans page. I mean, that's all it really would have taken.
One more week in the jungle for OnlyFans, Tiff. What would your OnlyFans name be?
I mean, I already have a stripper name. Do I really need a different name other than Tiffany?
I mean, fair. What is your stripper name? I was thinking you had a secondary name.
Let's be honest, your last name is kind of OnlyFansy.
Hey.
Serviss, and it's spelled right Serviss.
Yes, and it's not LA made up.
I thought it was made up because when I realized that was her name and then the name of your company, I'm like, oh, okay. So she has like a pseudonym for her brand. You're like, no, this is my name.
No, my last name is Serviss. Given last name at birth, Serviss.
That's so weird.
And then we played off Service to create Serve Recruitment Agency, which is what we're up to.
I mean, you could do Service Incorporated, Service Corp, and it'd be like a brothel. I mean, we could really make this an empire.
Let's do it. That's why I'm on the money then. I'm actually just here to get coached by you. So thank you. Keep going.
So I'm in the jungle with her and we connect immediately, energetically, immediately. Like we definitely were sisters in a prior life. Like I know this immediate feeling comfortable, feeling good, feeling safe. And then everything was set up for you to come here, of all places, Manhattan Beach, out of everywhere in the world, and the timing of it after the jungle. And it was like, this is obvious. It has to happen. I really believe we are always being led. We run so fast. We overthink, overanalyze. We're in our own way. And the answer and the path is often right in front of us. And it was undeniable to me. I was like, wait a second. I almost didn't believe you. I was like, are you sure you're coming to Manhattan Beach? You're like, no, I've been there before. I'm coming there.
I specifically had to pull out my phone and show you the hotel I was at because you were not fully believing that where I was.
I thought it was wild. And then I'm like, we have to. And then I was like, well, I want you on my show. And then you're like, well, and your dates didn't match up for like doing an interview virtually. And you're like, well, what about Monday when I'm there? And then it clicked for me. I can be a little slow sometimes. And I was like, oh, she could pop the cherry on the money bed. Who else is better? Someone I feel safe with, someone who's interesting and dynamic and has a very successful business. And we're going to get to all of that. Someone who's very wise and someone who would give me grace if it just turned into a total shit show, and it would be okay.
The blooper reel is going to be wild.
I mean, how are you feeling, honestly? Let's do a check-in. How does this feel? Like, I need feedback. Is it uncomfortable? Is it awkward? How are we feeling about being on this money bed situation?
Well, other than being asked how many people I've slept with in the first 30 seconds, I actually love that. I'm just kidding. I think you're onto something here. This is, how many. So I do interviews for a living, right? In a different way. Yes, I have a podcast, but I also do literal interviews of executives for a living. And you never really get to see beyond the polish.
Yeah.
Right? Like the persona and the polish and the facade that we all play every day, all day. And this, to me, it just immediately, how can I not just have fun on the money bed? Like, it's pulling the facade off because I'm just having a conversation with my girlfriend at a house. Like, it's so much more relaxed.
And those conversations that I see or I've listened to or I've watched, we all know and I do it too. Listen, I used to be a newscaster. There's that PC version, that polished public relations version, that job interview version of ourselves. And it's kind of boring. So let's go there. Let's share with the people what do you do when you're interviewing? You've probably interviewed thousands of people,
Mhm.
all different size corporations, from people who are small business owners to multi-billion-dollar corporations. What are some things that you ask candidates that kind of like pierces that job interview like facade of theirs?
Yeah, well, as you know, like when you're interviewing somebody, regardless of if it's podcast or you're interviewing somebody for a job, they're bringing all their stories and bullshit to the table. And so, as an interviewer, your job is to navigate, okay, one, I have to build trust with this person and make them feel comfortable, hence the blankie. Like you have to make people feel comfortable so that they're going to go there with you. But a lot of the times, what we'll start to ask is, we'll start to get to a place where I'll share vulnerably first, and then they'll start to share. So it could be something as simple as, "Hey, share with us what's one of the most difficult pieces of feedback you've ever been given that burned, like that really cut you."
And then are you sharing? I know for me, I remember when I was told
100%. Usually
genius.
I share first. So I'll ask the question and I'll say, "Hey, let me give you an example of a piece of feedback that really burned me." So that'll be one example of like more, I'm going to say, technical questions. But we generally like to go deeper and figure out who a person is beyond the paper. We can all zhuzh up a resume and zhuzh up how we look on camera. But what I'm really wondering is like, who are you beyond this piece of paper? And so sometimes that takes a question like, what's the most difficult thing that you've been through in your life?
Are these people shook when you ask them some of these things? Because 99% of interviewers do not ask this. I know for me, I mean, and I was in corporate, I was in
Yeah.
pharmaceuticals and I was in the TV business. If someone asked me that, I mean, I'd be like, yeah, I would come up. I'd be like, well, shit, where do I begin, man? Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Because even if you go like you go chat GPT and you're like, "Hey, prep me for interview questions," those interview questions aren't there, right? It's tell me about your strengths and your weaknesses and walk me through your experiences of your resume. And so often I have to actually interrupt people and say, "Hey, got it. I can read the resume. I'm clear on what you've done. Who are you?"
And is that one of the secrets to your sauce at your firm and why your placements are so successful? Is because you make sure the humanness of the person is also a fit, not just the skill set,
Has to be.
because skills can be taught.
I'm a big, my belief, and this is where I think a lot of corporations get it wrong, is a lot of corporations hire for technical, right? Entrepreneurs too. They hire for the technical skill set.
Meaning, like, I need someone to do and but for me.
I need a sales manager. So I'm going to specifically look for somebody who understands what outbound sales is and can do customer relations work and isn't afraid to cold call and like check. It almost feels like a check the box exercise. Just check, 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 check of all the different tasks that they can do in a day. And often that person may come into the organization and within 90 days, there's a disconnect because there's not an understanding of who this human being is beyond the paper. And does this human being fit with what we're up to culturally? And so I'm a big proponent of when I go into an organization, like I need to know who the organization is before I can go look for people. Because Tiff, if I don't know who you are and what you stand for and what your organization is all about, I can go hire you a sales manager who has the technical know-how. But how do I know that they're going to fit with you? How do I know that culturally it's going to be somebody that can support you with what you need and the growth that you're going through? So I'm a big proponent of, I get a lot of corporations and entrepreneurs come to me and say, like, "Hey, I need a sales manager and I'm really clear on that. Can you just go find me the person?" And before I'll ever open up the doors to actually hire for somebody, I'm always doing the clarity strategic work first to make sure that I'm really clear about who that individual and that company is so that when we're hiring, we can match culture and who the human element of both.
I would say, as you're talking, and someone who's hired and fired a ton of people in corporate and in 16 years of entrepreneurship, but I used outside firms like yours when I was in corporate. But truly, I have not used an outside firm as an entrepreneur. And I don't think that's uncommon And I mean entrepreneur, I don't mean like I'm talking you're still a small business owner even if you're making 50 million a year, by the way. You guys, like you're that's technically a small business. So even though my other business I have, the agency is an 8-figure a year business, I've done all the hiring, or there's someone on my team who's helped me done the hiring. Now, do I think that was always probably a good idea? No. Why am I hiring? This is not my skill set. I mean, yes, I have the skill set from being in corporate, but I
Mhm.
wasn't an HR director. I mean, that still wasn't my main thing. So, do you notice that a lot with entrepreneurs? It's like how do you know if you should be doing your own hiring or not? Because obviously we have to pay you a fee,
Of
again,
course,
a
yeah.
noticeable fee to find these people. So at what level is the cost justified and make sense to use a top firm like yours?
Yeah. I mean, what I see often in the, let's call it small business landscape and lens is we have this tendency of, again, hearing in a mastermind or hearing from a coach that we need to hire an executive assistant first. That's the first hire you need to bring in.
Yes, this topic is so good. I find that very annoying when people say that.
So there's fill in whatever one you want. There's roles that people feel very strongly about, depending on who your coach is, that you need to hire first. What they blanket statement rolls across all entrepreneurs, though, without understanding your uniqueness of your company and what you're up to and the growth avenue that you're in or that you're on. So they don't customize the people plan against your business. Could you imagine building a financial, like, you work with people all the time on money?
Mm-hmm.
Is each individual's business's money plan different?
Yes.
So then why do we think that everyone would have the same white blanket people strategy?
Yeah, and I think it's because of the line you want to take the tasks that are taking the most of your time and pulling your most bandwidth and hire that out. And I think it's a yes but answer. What's your answer to it?
Get that. Understood. That's a wonderful way to start to figure out elements of a job that may need to be hired for your company. What I see a lot of the times is entrepreneurs wait till they're in such pain doing all of these tasks that then they create the list, or they audit their time and they create a list of all these different tasks that are happening right now. And they try to judge it into a job, like they try to put it into a box. What I'm more interested in is, what's the future forward? What are you trying to create in this business? And then let's map out the unlocks of what is the skill set missing, who are the people missing in the business to actually unlock that growth for you sustainably over time, and build out an actual roadmap like you would with money. So we would be clear in 6 months, maybe let's just say, for the record, like, an executive assistant is the first job that you need. Let's just put that out there for this particular business. But in 6 months, you might need a social media manager. And then in 6 months after that, you might need a project manager. And then in 6 months after that, maybe now you need a PR director. So you need to start to build out the plan of hiring and start getting clarity on who you need first. Once you have clarity, that's where my saying of always be hiring comes in, because I'm going back to the original question is, does everyone need to use a search firm? I don't believe everyone needs to use a search firm. What ends up happening, though, more times than not, is in our entrepreneur community, instead of getting clear first and then hiring based on the clarity, we listen to other people. And Tiff told me, Jackie, that I need an EA. So I'm just going to white blanket suggest that that's true for me. And then my next question often is, Tiff, who do you know? And I'm going to hire whatever friend and family.
That's like basically when you're single and someone's like, "Oh, I know another single person. I've gone on a lot of those dates." That's the qualifier,
That's the
right?
qualifier.
It's like, so that's your qualifier. You're single, you're alive, you may or may not have a job. And
you're breathing.
So now go on a date with this person. It's like you have an executive assistant title, you match some of those skills. That's your person. When you really make that analogy, it kind of sounds insane.
Well, and what I call myself a lot of the times, a matchmaker. I'm connecting incredible companies with missions that feel aligned for me, that I want to stand with. to incredible humans that come from similar ethos or alignment that have skill sets that can unlock growth for companies. So I'm a matchmaker in all, when we just break it down, I'm not helping you find your husband, but I can help you find a person that you're going to spend.
I'm open to this,
I
though.
mean, well, we started with sex, so we might as well just get right into relationships.
By the way, the whole time you're talking, because I can see your profile, you have a perfect nose. If no one's ever told you that,
No,
it's all like I'm really focusing, but then I go, then I like keep hearing in the back of my head, she has a great nose.
Did you know that my nose was broken once? And I like they reset it, but they never fixed it.
I don't know what it is about your nose. It's doing it for me, though. I really like your nose.
Thank you.
You get a lot of nose compliments.
No, never.
No,
This
I
is
mean,
the first time.
now we have nose awareness.
Good. Now I'm blushing and I'm talking about my nose.
So many people I work with, even bigger companies, when you're talking to like the division head person, or you're talking to a solopreneur, someone who's a small business owner that maybe has like 3 or 4 people on their team, they will still say, I don't even know who in the hell I'm supposed to hire next. Like, we're so in the weeds over here. I'm grateful. I'm growing. I don't have any more of me to give. I'm exhausted. The thought of onboarding a new person, I don't even know where I'd get the bandwidth for it. And I don't even know what I need. So, like, what are some questions that people can ask themselves in order to maybe at least get a little more clarity on, who maybe they should prioritize hiring?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. And again, what I will tell you is it's going to be custom to every company. And that's something that I really like to reinforce, because all of our goals and aspirations are different. Like, what we want out of the business is different. And so when I do any sort of people strategy work, I always have to pull it up first. So, vision. Why do you do what you do? Why does this business exist in the first place?
I feel like I need to be answering these things.
Like, let's just do it.
Let's do it.
Why do you do what you do?
We have to do this. You guys are going to see the mess here, and you're going to realize you can make a lot of money being this messy. Why do I do what I do? It's certainly not for the money, which sounds weird because we're in a money bed. If it was for the money, I would continue to just focus on my other agency, because quite frankly, you can imagine the size contracts when you're dealing with large medical companies and health supplement companies, and I would be playing the stock market every day. I do what I do because there is no freer feeling in the entire world to not be dependent on any person, place, thing, or job or institution for money, and where you have limitless options to do what you want and when the fuck you want. And I want that, especially for women. I want it for men too, but like, I can do whatever I want at any moment. I'm not being confined or trapped, because some of my childhood stuff.
Yeah.
I was trapped. So this is how I make sure I'm free. That's really why.
Yeah, I hear freedom.
Free. No one can say, oh, you can't do that, or you get your 3% raise this year. Oh, we're doing layoffs, or you're trapped even by time, right? Like, you can't go travel because you're doing all your time is for money. So now I trapped myself when I created my first business. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and it was all time for money. And then I felt like a prisoner to my own business. I actually would say it was way easier being an employee because of how I set up that business. I didn't know any different. I don't even know if that answers this question.
No, you're not alone. That's your ethos. That's why you do what you do, is for freedom, or to be free.
Okay.
Right? Like, that is very clear. And so we'll start to work this down a little bit, but can you understand why that is so core to your values and who you are as an individual? And so therefore, just like a pre-qualifier, if I'm going to set you up on a date, I'm going to ask you specific questions about the type of human you want to call into your life. It's the same thing for a business. Why do we pre-qualify so much in relationship, but we're not necessarily like, a relationship is, when you're hiring somebody, it's a relationship.
It sure is.
So
and you spend more time with these people than even friends or family.
100% you do.
I don't want anyone who's going to trap me.
So that's important to understand that ethos, because now when we're thinking about asking specific questions for Tiff, now I can start to think through, who are you and what's your story, and tell me about something that's really difficult for you. And if I hear language like, I'm sick of working in corporate and I want to work in an organization where I can be creative and free. Now I'm like, okay, we're starting to use the same
Oh,
language
I
that Tiff
see.
is using. And now I'm understanding that there's an ethos that could connect these two humans beyond what you do being a PR director or being a social media manager or being a financial CFO or whatever your job title is. I'm looking for the underlying inklings that actually connect you to as human beings beyond the paper, beyond the job, beyond the responsibilities. That's why I asked that top question, is because I'm listening for the unspoken truths of who you really are and why you do what you do.
And then how do we get down to what who do I need to hire next?
So then we drop it into, now we got clear on what the ethos is. Now I like to drop it into getting a deeper understanding of how do you do this, right? Like, so it's great that we said, I want to create freedom, but what's your current reality of your business? And so I'm going to ask you questions like, how do you make money? What are your actual frameworks in which you make money? So let's think about
Okay,
that.
so
How do you
how
make
right,
money?
so how I make money, I have multiple streams of income under the brand Project Me with Tiffany. So we have group coaching courses, we have self-paced courses. I do a very small amount of high-level private coaching, and I have in-person mastermind events. And
Mm-hmm.
then soon we are rolling out physical products
Got it.
under the brand. So multiple revenue streams under the brand umbrella.
Got it. So we would map that out and we would get really specific around for your one-on-one coaching, what's the cost of that, what comes with that, et cetera. So we get really clear on what your business model is. And then once we're clear on what the current reality is, the next question, which you're already answering in this answer, is what's the future forward? Where do we want to take this business? So let's, if you're listening right now, maybe you're sitting at 5 million and you want to create an unlock in your business and your frameworks to get to 10, or you just know that you want to get to 10. Maybe you don't know how you're getting to 10 yet. You just know you want to grow to 10 million. That's a goal of yours. When you think about, I just heard product, like as a new, that's a future forward. That's something that you're thinking about for future to bring more freedom, more cash into the business to unlock that I want to be free feeling.
Yeah, because I know how to get to the next level of income because that's the business strategy part. It's a matter of I'm well aware that as you grow, you have to expand your team in order to have me have help with people do it. And I would say the biggest bottleneck for me is in business, and this is a mistake a lot of people make. And you're an entrepreneur, most of your time needs to be spent on getting more business. Your marketing. And in my case, how I market and teach other people to market is by using digital marketing. I am not someone who goes to networking events, and I don't do it that way. That's not my jam. I'm an introvert. I have people that come to me. So I use content marketing. But that content marketing is only as good as what I can produce. I can have people help make it look pretty,
Of course.
right? Like someone's going to edit the show and give us graphics and stuff. I can have people make it look pretty, but I'm here as the host with you now. I have to do it. My face to camera videos, those are me. The ideas and concepts that I have, like the money bed, for example. I'm not saying there aren't people on my team. I love having creatives that give great ideas, but my bandwidth has to be on producing high quality content and delivering at that level.
Love it. And so when you're clear on that, and I'm a big proponent of the same thing, when you're an entrepreneur and you're growing anywhere between, I mean, really, I think you're right. If you're a small business owner, so 50 million and below, I'm going to just put that blanket statement on
I
this.
agree.
Keep your foot, my opinion is keep your foot on the gas pedal of what actually brings you revenue, right? So keep your foot on the gas pedal of revenue. And then also consider this. If my belief is, as a CEO, leader of a company, if you bring the right humans into your organization and you lead the humans can run your business.
We need to go into this because I definitely want to hear about hiring mistakes that maybe you've even made or that you see other business owners making with this. because I will hear people say to me, someone could do all of this for me. You know, if I could just be the visionary, someone could do all of this. And then they're looking for a magical unicorn. And I even hear people say that term. I'm sure you've had people say it. Find me a unicorn assistant. Find me a unicorn that's like a catch-all marketing person. It's like, well, that'd be like me saying, find me the unicorn partner, and I list like 5,000 traits. It's like, first of all, is that even fucking realistic?
If it happens, I get that email every single day.
Really?
I was just at a mastermind. Like, this is what I hear in the emails. I was just at a mastermind and my coach said I need an integrator. Okay. What's an integrator mean to you? Because
I've never heard of this term.
EOS. Have you ever heard of EOS
No.
traction? So that's where the visionary integrator and integrator is. I want to be a visionary and I just want to sit and do all the thinking and the judging of the thoughts. And then I want a catch basin to throw all my thoughts into, AKA an integrator. And that integrator is going to line up my entirety of my business and execute against everything to make me the money I want as this visionary. This is a literal framework, Tiff, that many businesses are using.
I'm blown away.
And
that's wild.
And what we're not seeing, and then EOS actually has some operational frameworks that even when I worked at Fortune 50 organization PepsiCo, like they actually do have some fundamentals and foundations that are really great if used appropriately.
But that's almost like saying, I want to do nothing in my business and I'm just going to
be the dreamer.
And you're right, be the dreamer. And I have an idea. It'd be like me saying, I want to just come up with inventions and have nothing else to do with it and have everyone execute it. I find that to be a red flag. Am I right or no? It seems red flaggy.
It's now it's a big red flag for me when I'm qualifying if this is a organization I want to work with or a entrepreneur I want to work with, frankly. So we get a lot of these requests, which is find me I hear unicorn and I hear we only hire A players all the time.
You're like, yes, I only really look for,
this is what we're all up to. We're trying to find everybody the best people possible. Right. Clear on that. What can happen though, especially in solopreneur land, hiring your first 5 hires, is instead of breaking it down, so we actually create clarity for the individual who we're hiring, we do catch basin. You're going to take all of marketing. And if you take all of marketing, then you're going to be responsible for every aspect of marketing. And I'm not interested in hiring out anything else.
I mean, marketing is a giant umbrella. That would be, and I'm a master marketer and I wouldn't be best suited for that.
And so therefore, let's just play up marketing because this is one of your zones of genius. So you can actually probably spitball with me other ideas I'm not thinking about. So now as a marketer who's coming in to work for a $6 million organization who says that they want to scale to 10, this marketer is now responsible for social media, writing copy, producing any sort of content, doing email campaigns and marketing, coming up with a video content strategy, a paid proposal strategy. This is the unicorn philosophy of what we're saying we want. We could keep going on all these different tasks that this marketer would have to be responsible for. And that's where I think we fail in entrepreneur land, is because we've tried to get individuals who can be generalists at it all, and we call them unicorns. And in my opinion, within a marketing department, you can have somebody lead the function of marketing, and you can have fractional part-time agencies who come in and support different aspects of that. But I would rather have a leader who understands all concepts of marketing, who then get the ability to hire out the expertise as required, dependent on where the focus is of your business. So if social media is the focus of your business right now, they may hire out a videographer to come work with you once a week, and they're going to hire a copywriter to come do the proper copy for your content. And they're going to come up with, maybe bring a strategist in to help you come up with the themes of the social media that you're going to create. So they're going to know what levers to pull at what time in order to be the most effective for you to go from where you are today to where you want to go tomorrow. That's where people get messed up, Tiff, is for me, people strategy is the bridge from where I am today to where I want to go tomorrow. I think people can be a bridge to help you get there sustainably over time, if done in a way that creates sustainability and not the paintbrush strokes, the magic unicorn, the magic pill that we're all looking for in every aspect of our lives.
Yeah.
We
And
just went to fat camp. We all want the magic pill.
I mean, and there was a catch to that, man. I mean, the food is delicious, but I mean, the catch is I would have to have someone cook me meals from the land. From cook meals from the land every day.
Pick my avocado from the land and not only make me the guac, but then actually physically make the corn chips out of the corn that is also from the land
and tend to the crops.
But we all want in all aspects of our lives, I see as conditioned as society, we're all looking for the quick fix.
This is called fantasy marketing. And I guarantee you have many competitors who use these words in their marketing materials will find you your unicorn. I bet you there's even a company that uses it in their, without even me knowing, in their like main tagline, right? Like
100%.
Because, and it happens in every industry. In the weight loss industry, it happens in mine, which is what motivated me also to get in this online space, because I was so infuriated seeing how much make $30,000 in 60 days. Oh, just have us create this self-paced course and you can travel the world and never work again. And people buy it. I would absolutely have a net worth that's at least 3 times what I have now if I did that kind of marketing, but it's a lie. And I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. And really, when you look at this whole, I want someone who does all this, when they have a phrase for it, you're the jack of all trades and master of none.
It's 100% what it is. And Tiff, literally, this is why I got into this industry. I used to be an executive for PepsiCo and then left and was a global VP of HR. And so I have hired agencies and recruitment individuals for 20 years before I started my own business. I found time and time again that it was transactional as an industry. Everyone's looking to fill a seat and make a quick buck.
Right, because they're salespeople.
They're sales.
And they have to stay for 90 days to make sure they get to keep the money. And
all of it. And so they're salespeople who get really good at understanding what kind of talent do I need to hire to keep them for 90 days so I get 100% of my contract. And then peace, I'm out. I'm done. That's all you're getting of me. And it's rinse and repeat. And they just fill seats. I
have a friend who's a recruiter. I won't say his name. Very successful in a certain industry. Amazing salesperson, which I know you're aware this happens, but I guarantee the audience isn't. They will purposely, these recruiters, give the company who's hiring, they'll send bodies of people who interview well, even though they know this is not a good fit. The salary doesn't align, but it's like, I'm giving you someone who interviews well. See, oh, well, they didn't want the job with you, but I'm feeding you talent while they're digging to try to find someone.
100%. It happens all the time.
What a waste of time.
It's a waste of time. And that I say that to individuals I get to work with every day, which is my role is to save you time. Because when I was in the executive seat, when I was in the head of HR jobs, I've worked with founders and CEOs who are growing and scaling rapidly. I understand what the demand is of your time on other things beyond talent. Talent is, yes, a very important priority for you if you're scaling an organization, but it's not the only thing you're thinking about. You're thinking about your clients, how to make money. You're thinking about marketing efforts, financial efforts, fundraising. There's so many other things that are pulling your attention. And so if I'm coming in as sometimes it'll come in like a fractional head of HR who can get you talent. Sometimes it's more of a placement agency where I'm coming to find you talent for very specific jobs. It's really clear to me that so many recruiters, and this is something that I struggled with when I was sitting in the seats, all they do, if you hear this question from a recruiter, hang up the damn phone, please. It sounds like this. Hey, Tiff, what job are you looking for right now? What do you need to hire next? In your opinion?
I would say I need to hire a creative videographer talent who specializes in that kind of content.
Awesome. Can you get me the job description?
No.
Hang up the damn phone.
I wouldn't do it. I would never do it. And I'd be embarrassed, though, to be honest with you. I'd be annoyed that they asked me to do work. And then I'd get off the phone and then I'd be embarrassed and think, oh my God, I don't have my shit together. I'm supposed to have a description. And then I still wouldn't do it.
I love you for your honesty. Thank you for keeping it real. And some organizations have a standard chat GPT job description
Right.
that's been created, and the recruiter will ask the question. They'll be like, yeah, I'll kick it over to your inbox here in a minute. To me, that is one of the biggest red flags in the industry, that somebody is looking to be transactional with you because they're not even asking any leading, indicating questions to understand, why do you do what you do? What are you about? What's this organization about? What are we trying to create? I would say 75% of the time when somebody comes to me and thinks they already know the job they need next in sequence of what they think they need, it's bullshit. Once I get clear with them on what they actually are trying to create in this world, and we look at their current reality of the business structure today and the future forward, what we're trying to create tomorrow, the bridge is the people. It's one element, it's one lever, it's my lever, it's where I focus. There's other levers who have other organizations have different specialties, obviously, but mine is people. So I'm looking at the bridge of how to get you there sustainably through human beings. And so that's where coming out of a custom strategy plan is, okay, we might need a content video, like a video director first. And then what do we need? And we start to map out not just what you need today, but proactively starting to think about what's in 6 months from now and what's in 12 months from now.
But it's scary to that line. I don't know. And I don't know if it's true or not. You can tell me, where it's like, you need to hire before you're ready or before you need it. And it's so scary because you're putting out money before you have it, which I can handle that. But then what's scarier is, I have this person and we have to hit this goal, like, to justify their job. And maybe it's because I'm an empath and I actually care about people. I don't want to take someone on that I don't think they'll have a job, or don't know they'll have a job in a year from now.
I thank you for being honest and just saying it.
It makes me nervous because it's like, not that I don't believe in myself and what I do, but I need to really, for me, I need to see like that concrete evidence, the maths, and I'll take a risk on money. Like I know that pays off, but you're taking a risk with someone who like feeds their family with what you pay them.
Livelihood.
It scares me.
This is a human being.
I would be embarrassed if I thought we were going to get to like 8 million a year in 18 months from now. And we are so far off, and I can't keep investing in you. I'm bleeding money.
Yeah. And that happens. There are times to take risks, and I think very calculated, very clear risks. But once again, this is why I believe it's so important to know who a human is beyond the paper, because I want somebody who's going to come in and work with you, who's going to go all in and do whatever it takes to make sure that we are actually hitting some of those metrics. What I will say is, one of the biggest misconceptions in the space of hiring is you immediately need to hire a W-2 full-time employee. I do not believe that is true.
I agree with you.
I think we can step into hiring. I think we can look at multiple different models to hire.
You could even have like a high integrity trial basis.
100%. How do you know somebody until you know somebody?
I mean, and it can take a long time. And I want them to want to be there too.
That's right.
Right? Like I want my people to be very expansive and creative, and I'm out of the box. And a lot of people feel very comfy and safe in a box. So they wouldn't be a good fit for me.
Not a good fit for you. And that's the core of, you don't know what you don't know until, like, I'm always a big proponent of like, I don't know if I can work with somebody until I work with somebody. And so,
but our top talent people, whether it's an assistant, a social media person, whether it's a PR person, whatever, are the people who are really good, are they offended by like a trial thing, or no, they like it because it benefits them too?
So in the small entrepreneur space, there's lots of different models we can go into in terms of fractional heads, and people have created their own agencies around operate. Like you'll see OBMs, online business managers, who've created their own agencies around being not a full-time person.
By the way, I still don't even understand what an OBM is. I think it's hysterical.
It's an operator.
Is this when did like entrepreneur a long time? And when I
oh god,
online space. And then I started, people started going, oh, should I get an OBM? Do I have an OBM? I'm like, what the fuck is an OBM? I mean, I get,
I know,
online business manager.
It's so let's use corporate term for a sec. It's an operations manager.
Oh, okay.
It's the back end of your business.
Okay.
We just zhuzhed it up and made it sound cute because we're online entrepreneurs.
Got it.
It's
like a director of operations.
It's director of operations.
Okay. Well, let's just call it that. But
Clear
rather that be my title anyway.
Right?
I mean,
100%. I mean, we could go to the whole rabbit hole. But let me give you a different paradigm, right? Because there's the solopreneur who's doing their first 5 hires. I work with a tech company, a B2B SaaS tech company right now who's hiring multiple executive roles on their executive team. This is an organization that has a goal to get to 55 million annual revenue and then exit. So this is what we're up to. And even in their framework, looking for executives across the board in all major functions, HR, product, engineering, finance, marketing, sales, all of their executives, there were individuals who at certain times came in full time immediately. There are multiple executives within this company who started fractionally and slowly stepped in as the company was ready for them full time. They came and showed what they were capable of, and they understood that this particular organization at 3 million didn't need a head of people. They weren't ready for it yet. And so you look for the person who's willing to start at 10 hours a week, to step into 20 hours a week, to step into 30 hours a week, to finally say, okay, now that we're at 7, 8, 9, 10, and we're going through this major hiring frequency of bringing on more engineers and more salespeople, now we're ready to bring you on full time. So I want to make sure that we're getting clear that this just isn't your solopreneur online business energy that can hire slow or start slow.
Right. You can use that model and apply it, just like what I do with business and digital strategy. I'm taking models that are used in multi-billion-dollar companies and massaging them so they apply to the small business owner.
It's exactly the same as what I do through the lens of people.
So if someone is at a point where they're like, listen, I do want to hire some people. I don't think I want to go yet through using your agency. I want to at least try it maybe once or twice on my own, because we're all like that. We can be overly independent and all the things. Where should these people look? Now, I would love to hear your hiring mistakes. You want to know what mine was coming into the online space? I thought it was smart to hire someone who was already a coach. That was a terrible idea. Terrible. They wanted to be Tiffany. So they didn't want to support a Tiffany. They want to be Tiffany. And so then they would come on and they would suck the blood and learn everything they could. And then they would try to like poach people and do all the things. Yeah.
You hear a lot. So I want to hire A players. I want to hire unicorns. And I only want to hire other entrepreneurs or entrepreneurial like-minded people.
No.
My operator, I do not want to be an entrepreneur.
No, I don't want you to want to be an entrepreneur. I want you to be thrilled. I want you to be thrilled
to have to be.
Yeah, that's not good. But that was my big mistake. Yes. But I would have said, yeah, or someone who, the other mistake I made was someone who loves creating content. So then I would go and like source people, maybe even on Instagram. And if they had like a great page and content, they don't want to create content for me. They want to be an influencer themselves, even though they have the skill. Like what, to your point, underneath it all, what they truly want is misaligned to what I need.
And that's where understanding what you truly want and then asking the questions, what are we trying to create? Why do you do what you do is such a foundational element for me to be able to ask the most appropriate questions, to start to filter the people out who want to be Tiffany. I don't want to hire Tiffany. You're enough just as you are.
We don't need another Tiffany.
We're hanging out in a money bed, talking like
another Tiffany.
You are uniquely you, and we don't need another Tiffany in this world because you are enough.
We don't need it. Yes, we don't need any more of that.
But to answer the question, so there's so many hiring mistakes that get made. Here's one of the things that I likely say daily, and it's hard to hear because we've created a conditioned culture that believes this is the only way, which to me, hosting and praying that you're going to find the best people is These are billion-dollar industries here. Think about a job board, right? These are billion-dollar industries here. What ends up happening when we post and pray is we post a job on a job board.
Like Indeed or something.
It used to, remember back in the day when it was Monster?
Oh my God. I
Like,
forgot about
right?
Monster.
Like all these job boards, which used to work 20 years ago.
I would go on and apply.
That's where the people who were talented were looking for jobs. In today's society, the best people are never looking.
No, I got recruited. I got hit up by recruiters.
People are never looking. So if you're actually going to take the time and energy to try to do this on your own, get clarity first, create the job description first. That's going to help you filter people out. But even if you're posting on a job board for marketing purposes, because that's where I think job boards can be helpful, you're just getting more eyeballs on who you are and what you're up to in the world. More of my clients get sales out of my marketing efforts than they get the talent.
Ooh,
which I know we like making money here. It's a campaign. It's a marketing campaign when I'm putting it across LinkedIn and other job boards. But what I'm doing is in the back end, I'm starting to get really clear on what it is you're looking for. And I'm inviting people to the conversation. We would call it coaching in corporate, or we would call it, I'm a hunter of talent. Like, I'm actually going to go and matchmake for you. So that's where sometimes when you're trying to do this for the first time on your own, I mean, there's going to be mistakes. Let's just be honest, because you're looking at a profile and you, Tiffany, needs to figure out, is this profile, do they have the type of background and experience that's needed in order to be successful doing this job? And to be honest with you, like anything in matchmaking, sales, marketing, etc., when you're trying to connect two worlds together, you're probably going to fuck up more times than get it right.
Yeah, I'm never doing this again. We're not, I'm not available for this. This is not, I obviously want to be involved in the process.
You have to be involved.
But I do not want to do this because I can fall for a sob story or shit from our past. Don't think that doesn't come into business, right? Like I'll miss things. I have blind spots for certain things. So there's a lot of cost factor by going about really anything on your own. I mean, I'm not saying if you really want to try it, go try it. But like, please don't try it by hiring your friend or your sister.
And that's what ends up happening, because people go to the job board or they try to do it themselves and they're not getting it right. So then they just go to their network and they just say, who do you know that can do this for me? And let me be very clear. Referrals are a beautiful way to bring talent into your organization, because I deeply believe that good people know good people, and vet them first. Do not just take it at a high level that because Tiffany Carter says that this is a great social media manager, that this must be my social media manager. That is once again why it's so important to get the clarity first and get specific. The specificity of the job is clear. And one of the things that I love to do in my process is I always like to run people through a project, because I'm really good at talking, Tiff. I can talk myself into circles into an interview. And more times than not, let's say we're hiring somebody for you. Let's use a creative director, somebody who can do video. We'll get down and we will actually rack and stack the people based on their interviews, 1, 2, 3, of who we think is going to be the best hire for you. And then we'll send them out on a project. And we'll say, hey, we're going to pay you to do this project. We're going to give you a couple $100 to go do this project, because whatever you create, we might actually still use. Right? So go do an actual project for us where you come and you spend 20 minutes doing something with Tiff, you film some sort of content, and then you create an actual video for me. And the end result is I can use that video on anything I want, which is all. We just get a clear on a project scope of work. We'll pay you for your time. And 9 times out of 10, the actual result of the project that's being performed will flip the order of who we want to hire.
Because either someone kind of half-asses it, phones it in, it's sloppy, or they go above and beyond.
person number one said they could do certain things because they know the buzzwords in the industry to be successful, to make you believe that they're as successful as they want to believe. Hello, ego. We all have it. And when we actually inspect what we expect, when we actually check in on their true capability of said thing that they said they could do, it falls flat. Or we get really clear that they don't get you. They say that they understand what we're up to in this culture, and then they produce something that's not on brand. It doesn't have your colors. They're not picking up the nuances that are really clear of like, this is who Tiffany Carter is. You completely missed it.
And if someone misses it when there's this much content out there, I am very concerned. Something that I know stresses the hell out of me and any other business person I know, or even someone who's like in an executive hiring position at a company. I remember even in pharma when I was national sales trainer, as national sales director, when you would have an opening for like a key territory, like you have some smaller territories that you don't want to open, but it's not like urgent. Okay. And then there are other positions where you're like, we are bleeding money not having this filled. I would dread it. Number one, the interview process takes up so much time and energy. And then the onboarding process. And I think, especially small business owners, they have to be so resistant and reluctant to hire because then they have to train, then they have to nurture, then they have to lead. And then maybe some of them have been burned before and those people have left. Or they're just like, I'm already so exhausted. That's why I'm hiring. But now I'm going to have to do all this upfront work.
And we get reactive. And when we get reactive in the hiring process, we make sloppy hiring decisions. And the cost of a bad hire is beyond the financials. It's the energy, it's the time, now you've brought somebody in and that person, let's use as sales as an example. They missed renewing a contract. How much money is that to your business?
Listen, I'm going to tell you guys, and you can go back and listen to the podcast because I didn't name the person, but it was a shit show. 2021, my signature program, Selling with Soul, hired someone based off of a referral of a fellow business owner who has a similar model to me and didn't put them through really a test. It was more so right talking. And samples of work. There were samples, but that can even be bullshitted.
Portfolios can be
right?
bullshitted. I want to see what you can do.
But I was also a little desperado. I was growing very quickly. And this person ghosted us in the middle of my launch. I was literally losing thousands of dollars per minute, like at the peak of my launch.
Thousands of dollars per minute.
Yeah.
Because of the wrong hire.
Exactly. And I want you guys to hear this from the wrong hire. And I would have lost that much money also by resisting hiring.
Yeah.
Imagine what just happened. And I just did the episode, you guys, you can go back. It's episode number, I think 603, where I broke down the behind the scenes of my $1 million launch. If I didn't make sure I had in place a buffer, meaning a buffer for abundance, a buffer for the shit to go wild in a good way. A lot of us have buffers for things not going well. Right. But I knew to have a buffer for it to go well. If I didn't, this would have been an embarrassment and a crash and burn because like it went viral. Like it was in pure insanity. So that's also the payoff of making sure you have, instead of having just enough people on your team or just enough bandwidth, I think it's better to have over that line, don't you?
Yeah, and it depends on where you're at. So if you're leading up to a launch, I'm going to likely recommend that we put the foot on the gas a little bit more when it comes to the support systems that are surrounding you. So versus there may be other times where we're not in launch mode or we don't have as much going on, so we can peel back a little bit. So that's where having options and being able to dial up and dial back as appropriate for your business, custom to you, is critical and key. And we're just not talking about it because we're talking about it as black and white, as I'm in pain. Therefore, I'm going to write everything down on the list that creates pain. I'm going to throw it in a job description and hire somebody that can do all of that.
And then there's a lot of people who are like, I don't really want to fucking hire anybody. I don't want to deal with people.
Yeah.
And I won't name her name, but there's a girl in the jungle who could absolutely, I mean, she could have a fucking empire. I mean, she will have an empire. I don't think she realizes it yet.
Mm-hmm.
And someone said to her, well, why don't you have like other people you can train on your unique thing? And she's like, I don't want to do that. I run solo. I don't want to deal with people. And that's okay.
That's okay.
But you have to know you're going to reach a cap because there's only one of you.
That's right. You're trading time for money. And at some point in time, if you don't have, that's what leadership is. And this is, I get really fiery around leadership because I see a lot of the times where people want to hire the person, but then they don't want to develop and retain that person. So you and I both know, coming from corporate, it's way beyond just getting the right person. It's what I do, yes, is the attract portion of talent, but beyond attract, now we're thinking about how do we develop and how do we retain the right people.
And I've had to have a learning curve on that. I mean, I'm always getting better and better, right? Because I'm humble and willing to learn. But how I did things in corporate when I didn't own that company versus doing it for my own business was different. And I minimized, this is where your own shit shows up in business. I minimized how much it really means to people who work for me to give them praise. For me, I always show appreciation, but I'm talking like special praise, special attention, shout outs. I have minimized that, not because they don't deserve it, because it's like, well, I always tell them how much I appreciate them. Like,
right.
And it's like, I mean, it's just me. Like, what else? And I pay them really well. So, like, but it's those nuances that make people feel really appreciated, like just like in friendships or in love relationships. And like, that's the part of leadership I had to learn. Like, I know when I'm pushing the limit on some of my people, where I'm like, okay, I've maxed them out, even though I really want to have this one thing done. It's not a burning thing that has to be done. I'm going to wait a couple weeks.
Yeah. It's, you just said it. What is the love language of the person in front of me? And we can use that type of terminology, or it can be every individual enjoys recognition in a different way. For some people, it might be the 3% raise, the infamous 3% raise that we all get in corporations, or it could be $100 gift card to Starbucks, or it could be a handwritten card, or it could be a thank you on a team meeting, or it could be a shout out on your podcast, or it could be a hug.
And that's the stuff that I would minimize, not minimizing them, but I'm thinking, why would a hug for me be that important? Or why would a handwritten note, like, why? I mean, that's not what they want. I'd go, oh, they'd want more money, right? Like, and I had to really stop and analyze what each of my people need. And it's so, everyone is so different, and it's so fascinating. And that's made me a better leader. What mistakes do you see people making, even people who have very public personas, even people who are motivational speakers? But when it comes to business and leading their own team, it's very different leading your own team than it is leading people from a stage or leading people from a podcast.
I love your podcast because I can be as real as any other podcast that is out there.
We are.
That's what we're doing. So there are some people who would be in the world of online marketing, spirituality, etc., considered pretty famous, like considered people who would be brand names and probably books on people's bookshelves. And I've had the opportunity to work with many people in this space. And one of the mistakes I see often is we think a hire is going to solve all the issues that are happening in your business. And if you're not willing as a leader to continue to recognize that you need to up level, you need to grow, you need to stay open. And again, back to the philosophy that I have, when you become a leader, that doesn't mean that you get to sail off into the sunset and do nothing for your team. It actually means you have more responsibility to the people that you've just hired. So your role is now to lead the people. The people's role is to run the business. So often what I see is in this step change of going from a solopreneur to a first-time manager to running teams is we forget to up-level ourselves in leadership. And then we retract back into the weeds constantly trying to do the job that we've hired people to do for us. And more times than not, we get frustrated really quickly. And this whole mentality of, okay, this one really pisses me off. This whole methodology
I
of,
love when a Canadian gets mad.
oh,
It takes a lot. You guys
hit it now. I'm there. I'm there. I've hit my mark. I'm really pissed off. But one of the things that I absolutely hate is this whole philosophy of hire, slow, fire, fast. Let me be clear. The philosophy is right. The way we action this is bullshit. Why? Because the leaders in the last year, I've seen multiple leaders use that as a crutch for their shitty leadership. Nope, we just got it wrong, so I'm going to fire fast.
And like putting the blame on that hire.
On the thing outside of themselves.
And not even taking a look of they have their side of the street and I have mine.
How did you contribute to the situation? And oftentimes, and this is where I'm getting better at getting really clear on the type of leaders I want to work with, is we point the finger externally instead of taking the thumb and looking at right back at ourselves.
It's so fascinating when I hear people like you say this because of being the product of the childhood I had. I am, and I know it's not as common. I'm the opposite. I over blame myself. So it's fascinating to me when I hear other people always pointing external, blaming the person, blaming society, blaming the economy, blaming the new hire, blaming you for fucking finding me this person.
I fucked up. I hired the wrong person.
Right, like blaming, blaming everybody.
I want a refund, whatever.
Right, and I am the exact opposite where I take too much responsibility. I overtake responsibility and then the other person's kind of off the hook. So it's wild to me when I hear and I'm reminded of how most people operate.
You are the minority in terms of you taking true ownership and responsibility. And maybe to the nth degree, right? Like,
right. I'm not saying this is healthy.
No. I understand to a fault. And so there's a balance in both ways, right? Because there is likely everyone contributes. If the relationship falls apart, it's not one person. Both people contributed to the situation. All good. No bad, no broken. It's all good. And how do we actually look at it in a healthy way to get clear on where we can grow as a leader and where we maybe missed it with this person, where we didn't hit it with this person, because it's a two-way street. It's a relationship. I just really despise the energy of I'm not willing to take a look at anything I did to contribute to the situation. And this person came in and in the first 30 days, did it make me $1 million? So therefore they're shit. That happens, Tiffany, every single day. And it's crazy to me.
That's the stuff behind the scenes that would make me lose my mind. And I can tell you, we get it in a different way, in a different business model.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, our agencies are similar models, but where people will go, I have not made any money and I'm on the third module of selling with soul and it's not working for me. And why isn't this working? And I want my money back. And it's like, well, first of all, there's no fucking refunds. That's stated everywhere. Second of all, like, there's no I never made a promise. I don't know what you're doing behind the scenes. I have no idea what's going on. Like, that's wild to me when people do that. And yet they're still making all of this money, and it's like, I think that is part of peeling back the curtain of this is important for people to see. Because they see all these people and they'll go, my team and I got here. I'll look at my team. Oh, I have a team dinner. Here's my team. And it makes people who are maybe earlier in entrepreneurship or wanting to transition out of corporate and start a business go, oh my God, I'm going to have this like magical team and this whole team. Or it makes them go, oh, if you have the right team, they do everything for you. And that's not what it looks like. In fact, I know a lot of people who are making a lot of money and they don't have these large teams.
No.
They have like a handful of really quality people.
I'm rather have a quality core and hire for things that we need in terms of fractional or agency support around me personally in my business. I like to go deeper with fewer. That's my philosophy. That's
Same.
my model. And if I'm going to come in and work in your business, I'm going to come in and get to know your business and work in your business. And so I have chosen in my model in this moment to go fewer is better for us and not these big broad strokes and to have multiple teams. No right, wrong, or anything in between. You can have a large team. I just want anybody who's listening to this right now who wants to sit at the helm of that, meaning you're the CEO, founder, entrepreneur, whatever title you want to put here. I want you to take responsibility for the fact that you need to then step up and be a leader. There's too many of us that are pointing blame externally and not taking responsibility for our actions. I have a friend of mine who will say, even if somebody on their team actually fucked up, his responsibility.
That's what I say all the time. I had a press release go out. We do press releases for in our agency. So all digital marketing, like we do emails, meta ads, press releases, but only in that health sector. And in that sector, those of you guys are familiar with it, and I know you are, you can't have a typo. Like that could, I mean, that's big time. You're dealing with the FDA. This but you know what? You could have 500 people looking at something and there's still an error. So it can happen. And I had hired a proofreader just so we had another set of eyes, like someone who's like real, like one of those people's like the grammar police.
Meticulous.
Which is not me,
oriented.
as we all know. Just read one of my emails. And they've messed up. And it was like missing a word, but it was a word in a section that like you can't mess up. I won't get in the weeds of it, but you can't mess it up in the medical world. Woo, I almost lost that account. But you know why I didn't lose it? Because I said, I told them the scenario and I go, but ultimately that's on me.
Extreme ownership.
It's on me. And we will do not only that press release, but we'll do your next two pro bono. And I will be making sure that like the final eyes on it are me.
100%.
And that's why I didn't lose the account. But otherwise I would have lost the account.
And therefore, if you lost the revenue from that account, you likely are losing people on your team as well.
Yeah. And also how to handle stuff internally.
So what did that look like?
Yeah, because don't think for a second, you guys, look at all the pieces of content we have going on. Like when you're using content marketing as a main strategy to make money in a business, which most businesses are now, think of all the opportunities there are for innocent human mistakes. Everyone phones in their jobs sometimes. Okay. You've done it too. I did it when I worked for other people. Okay.
100%.
You're having a rough time. Maybe you're not feeling well. You have drama at home. We've all done it. And there's been many occasions where the ball is being dropped and I'm infuriated because I'm like, who would put out something I'm like, this is so basic. I can't believe you're sending me this batch of content. We've worked together for so long. You know me. It'd be like a fitness coach telling people to drink more water. I go, that's offensive. That's the opposite of my brand. But then I have to check myself. It's like, well, when was the last time I had a meeting to keep people elevated and on track so they don't phone things in?
Yeah. It's raising the bar and setting the expectations. And then as leaders, we need to inspect what we expect.
And I have to own that. I can get comfy and lazy, complacent, better word, of doing the inspection. And that probably, if we were to say, what has cost me more money than anything behind the scenes in my business, managing a team, it's that.
Me too. And I leave this stuff.
I'm not a micromanager.
Me either.
Like maybe to a fault.
Yeah, they got it. Well, I'm not an attention to detail girl. I'm just not. And so this is something, what we're talking about here is stuff that is a mirror for me because I teach this stuff. I'm 100%. I'm not. I have phoned it in. I still phone it in and I'm leading a multi 7-figure business.
Yeah.
There's still these methodologies, mentalities that are aspirational for us all. And all I'm saying is when we start to create teams as founders, entrepreneurs, general managers of companies, leaders, even if you're in the corporate setting and you're leading a team, we need to continue to think about how do we up level? How do we grow? How do we continue to add value here to not just ourselves, but to the people around us? And the teams that win, the teams I get to work with, and I have the privilege of that I see win year over year, understand that factor as a hiring the right people is a tactic. When you can understand that you're in the business of human beings, and then therefore you're revolving your business around that, that's when things open up and can really
the word
change
developing comes up. It's like you can hire people, but you have to develop people and grow with people.
It's why, so a lot of the times, I mean, yes, my company can support in some aspects of that. What we are great at is the matchmaking. So what we are great at is finding the great people and getting you clear on who you actually need in your business. I partner with very few people who understand the depth of needing to develop once you're in-house. That's why I'm in Manhattan Beach right now. I was just working with a series of executive coaches who I trust wholeheartedly to bring into my organizations with me. And I will tell you, people slap that title on like they slap on the fact that they're a social media manager or an OBM.
Yeah, that's
like, no, we're not all the same.
What can people get out of listening to your podcast?
They get to meet great people like you. I can't wait to have you on the show. Oh my gosh. My people are just going to freaking adore you.
Oh, good.
Because this world of entrepreneurship and Pollyanna, the influencer, is tiring.
It's exhausting. And aren't you bored?
I'm so over
a little
it.
bored.
I'm just thinking about us on the beach pretending we were influencers. Karen here, just enjoying my in Tulum.
Yes. So, and it's cringy and it's exhausting and we're over it. Because like if I were listening to this episode, I'd go, well, is her podcast teaching me how to hire people? Like what's the vibe over there?
Yeah. So what we're really focusing on people leadership and entrepreneurship. So people, meaning the people we're hiring, we get pretty deep into some specifics and some tactics you can take for sure. And I'm also very open, like you are, to sharing my story of what it feels like to lead a team and grow a multi-million-dollar company and how entrepreneurship has felt for me. You and I both have a spiritual element. That's our sisterhood, is where we connected in the jungle. And so there are often times where I'm bringing on subject matter experts to come on and share their gifting. And I'm also I do a guest once a week and I do a solo once a week where it's just me.
That's a big commitment. I used to do the guest once a week and then I got a little burned out on that.
Get it.
But you know what? Now I can do this lying down. This is pretty
fucking. The money bed's here.
I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think over on YouTube? Put it down in the comments because I know you guys like watching this as well. But like, do you like the money bed? Do you like the vibe? Do you like us leaning
back? Should we be sitting up? Like, what's the vibe?
I could sit up for a little, but after a while, I don't even want to sit up because I don't want to have to. I don't know. I don't think I mean, I could get one of those mattresses that like. That would be really extra. The mattresses that like raise the back for you.
Yes.
We could do that. That actually would be really good. Then you're really sitting up. And then like, if we're uncomfortable, we just use the remote control. But I want to hear what you guys think about the show. I'm going to have Jackie's show in the show notes. Now, I don't want your asses flooding her recruiting agency with find me a unicorn. I don't know what to do. So we need to you need to do a little pre-qualifying.
Yeah.
What type of clients are you guys considering taking on? Because I know you've got a lot going on over there right now.
We do. We're really specialized and focused on building out executive leadership teams. So if you're a founder or an organization who is growing and scaling right now, who is looking for a head of marketing, a head of finance, a head of sales, a head of content, a creative director, that's the energy that we're in right now. We've really veered away from hiring too deep into the organization without knowing the organization first. So we'll start leaders. Once we bring the right leaders in, we trust those leaders will understand how to start hiring and building out their teams. We will be there to support them. But the solopreneur who's looking for their very first hire, I have tips, tricks, and worksheets that you can work off of, but that's not what our agency's up to right now.
Are those things they can get like through your Instagram bio, or where can they get these things?
So JackieServiss.com website, lots of free resources there, and or Insta. We do. I mean, my website is linked to Instagram where I hang out a ton. And then I do hang out on LinkedIn as well.
Okay. So we'll make sure the stuff's in the show notes for you guys, and let us know what you think about this episode. Take a screenshot, share it, type in the comments here on YouTube. What do you think of the vibe? What did you think of the money bed? Thank you for coming on and being willing to be the first guest of something that I think we're on to something. I kind of liked it.
I'm into this. Tiff, I just want to acknowledge you. You are, oh my goodness, your energy and how you show up in this world and all the individuals that you have served already and who you are going to serve in the future are so, so fortunate to have you in their world. I am fortunate to have you in my world. You are a sister I've been seeking, somebody who keeps it real and who has a depth to her that so many do not in this space. I love you. And thank you for opening up your space and your home for me.
Love you. That was so sweet. Thank you for seeing me and being in my bed.
I can't wait to start talking more about sex with you in the bed.
I mean, I feel like there's some people I actually don't want in the bed.
I get that.
That's what came up when you were talking. I was like, I like her being in my bed, but I for sure don't just want anyone in my bed.
Fair. I think that's a standard that should be kept in your life. Yes.
Love you.
Love you too. Thank you for having me on.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.